Hey guys, my name is Muso. I run a dev agency called Fabrica, and today I'm attending a hackathon in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. A hackathon is being organized by a company called Better Auth, who's founded in Ethiopia, is currently in YC, and they brought together some developers locally, which is really awesome because it gives really interesting perspective as to the local talent pool that's available in Ethiopia. And it's located in Bole, which is a really amazing part of town. So I'm visiting Ethiopia. Our product studio is based out of the States, but we have teams in Canada, the US, and now Ethiopia. And we're looking to expand our investments in the country through services, as well as through talent, as well as hardware. So we're really pumped to see events like this and engage with the public. Really nice meeting you. Introduce yourself to the camera.
Hi there, I am Robil Mazemir. I'm Robbie.work. I am previously tech lead at ideas.company. Recently, I did a 2-month internship with Better Auth, and currently I'm just working on this app called Audit. Yeah, pleasure to meet you.
Awesome, man. I know we've been chatting a bit off camera about your journey into tech, your work experience, but I want to maybe double click because there's a lot of people out, where we live in the States that might not really look at Ethiopia as a place for tech talent. So maybe tell me a bit about how you got into tech, your experience learning tech in Ethiopia, and what you're doing to set yourself up to the world standard.
I started it with tech by batch programming, actually, the Windows batch programming language. It just used to be a super just mind-blowing thing for me whenever I wrote a bunch of lines on Notepad, which everybody uses. And apparently the computer does wonky things whenever I want it. And that kind of gave me the interest to pursue tech. Most of my core skills were developed by front-end master courses. I just did that and got into TypeScript. So that kind of set me up to be interested in computers and what they do. That kind of led me into this Huawei event called the Huawei ICT competition, where it was a global event and we got third place. I am unfortunately a 4th-year dropout, so I wouldn't attribute most of my core skills to rigid educational kind of material. So it's mostly self-taught.
Gotcha. I know this is big picture thinking, but I know you chatted about the community of developers in Ethiopia. It seems like there's a lot of people that are doing a lot here, a lot of folks that are working overseas, remote work, freelancing, stuff like that. Where do you kind of see yourself in the next couple of years? And feel free to plug your product.
For sure. I think I've been in the rat race for long enough. Try the entrepreneurship path. So I think I'm going to try to launch Audit. Audit is doing regex matching based on financial data, and it's extracting those data points into something that it could be usable by small businesses, could be usable for personal finance. It's 6 months in the works, so it should be good when it comes out.
When people think about working with developers outside of North America, they think there's a big cultural gap, therefore I can't have that person. In your experience, has that ever been an issue where you're spending more time trying to understand a different culture versus doing the work?
I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say that there is such a gap that would prevent the talent here from working there. I wouldn't attribute it to more of a culture kind of thing. But the infrastructure is very frustrating for long-term work because power outages every now and then. You get internet just doesn't work sometimes. So personally, I've had a lot of problems with those. So the way I mitigated it is by getting an eco-full battery and getting both carriers, so you can just hop from one carrier to the other. But I wouldn't say that the talent here is lacking in culture. It's not a fundamental attribute of the talent living here. My first local job here taught me how to do PRs, how to do the basic foundations of contributing to a larger team. So I think that anybody who is working 1 or 2 jobs over here can easily transition to an abroad job in the West.
That's a really great point. I think the logistics is definitely something that people wouldn't factor in because it's not really an issue there. But I also realize that if you want to solve it enough, you can actually find a solution.
If they wanted to, they can.
Exactly. That's awesome. Before we sign off here, Anything you want to add, and if not, plug your socials so that people can find you.
For sure. My site is at robbie.work. All of my socials are on there, my LinkedIn, my Twitter. So it was fun talking to you.
Appreciate it.
My name is Ezra. I'm a senior JavaScript full stack developer. Yeah, I'm a bit of a jack of all trades. I've tried development in a lot of different areas. Right now, I'm focusing on web dev and DevOps.
I know we chatted a bit off of like the differences from like agency side or client side versus dev side. Context behind that for the cameras. You know, when you're running an agency and when you're a client of an agency, you only think of like, what does my product look like? But there's definitely some parts of that where you don't consider when you're from the dev side. Tell me a bit more of like, you know, your experience working with clients, whether here or abroad, and like how that generally is.
Here or abroad, I think you have to be aware of your reputation as a developer or as a client.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that you're on time. You have to make sure that you deliver on your client's promises. You have to make sure that your interactions are kept, but also that your past history, your past experiences with that same client does not necessitate that you give in into every request that they make.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've seen that get abused, but also I've been at fault where I haven't delivered items on time, and then there comes in where clients can also be a bit lenient. They can also be a bit understanding. So I guess it's a pick your own battles kind of thing.
Yeah.
It goes a lot of ways, but mostly I think it's you have to remember where you're coming from. You're a developer, you're not business minded.
Yeah.
You shouldn't get involved in the business calls as well, business decisions.
Yeah.
But then there are times where some clients expect you to make the business decisions,
Yeah.
build the product from the ground up, not build the technology for the product.
Right.
Yeah, that's been my experience. I think I've dealt with a few clients that are very good to work with.
Yeah.
I have had a few clients that have been notorious for moving the goalpost often.
Yeah.
And then there are a few clients that have gotten too caught up on the tech that they've kind of forgotten about the product, or they've a vague idea for the product, and then you have to make it a reality, which kind of means you have to do a bit more than coding and a bit more than the development of that product. So in the landscape in Ethiopia it's a bit of a minefield, but it's also very interesting in the sense where so very, very good developers out there. If you're working in an agency or if you're looking to build a team, there are very great developers out there. You have to pick who you work with very carefully.
Yeah.
But once you do, they can really take you to really high places in terms of project experience or technical challenges as well.
I think that's a really interesting point. In North America, Ethiopia isn't considered as a destination for tech talent. Maybe now it's a bit different with companies like Better Auth coming in and actually showing that there's really great developers and really great ideas in Ethiopia. Usually they think like Nigeria, Kenya for tech. Maybe tell me a bit more about like your experience as a dev in Ethiopia as well as other dev from like capacity perspective or even like a skill and knowledge perspective.
So far, what I've noticed is right now we have very good up-and-coming juniors that are really passionate about dev. And there's very, very interesting communities that just help each other, that they give support on projects, they let them showcase their skills as well. And then that community is really strong in Ethiopia. That means we really have very good junior devs as well. But then when you look a bit further, you then notice there are some certain senior devs that have really been working for a long time, but they haven't been very public about it.
Right.
Which is another side of the Ethiopian tech side that I really, really enjoy, which is if you talk to a certain community or if you find yourself in certain communities, you find these really, really talented senior devs that they've been in the industry for a long, long time. And I think the point you mentioned is really important. The talent discovery is just not there yet. But I do think that there's a really good talent in Ethiopia.
So like, where is the opportunity? I know there are a lot of like dev shops that run out of Ethiopia that offer services on Upwork. I know there's things like freelance that kind of tries to put like, talent that's looking to get jobs with people that are seeking talent. But like, it seems like we're still, from my perspective, in that phase where it's really hard for you to find quality folks or like quality talent. And the time that you spend like going through having those conversations and like that talent discovery is a bit longer than North America, where it's a bit more standardized.
I think what's missing right now is the standard, as you mentioned. So right now, if you want a very talented dev, you'd have to have good contacts with other talented devs who know other talented devs who spend the time to talk to these developers who have personal experience with projects and et cetera, et cetera. But when you go to maybe these other countries like the US, Canada, Europe, and et cetera, they have a really good set of standards in terms of vetting good talent. Take TopTal, take Upwork, whatever. But those things really matter. Right. And I think that part of standardization would take the country really, really far. And I think that's where the gap is. Partially, it's in terms of how do we market ourselves to foreign audiences. That part is also, there's some area that's lacking, but I also know that there are a lot of companies and a lot of initiatives working to build that gap, to fill the gap. I think the main thing that's right now, there's a huge gap in standardizing the industry in a sense of how does a developer market themselves, how do they showcase their skills, and then who signs off on that? How do we trust that this is a very, very good developer? And right now, there's not much being done in the market. Hopefully, there will be more soon. But there are opportunities. As you said, the challenge is finding a very good vetted source of trust that you can.
Which is like a great product idea if anybody wants to.
Anybody wants to work on that, go for it.
Yeah, and it solves a lot of our headaches. But that's really interesting. I know another barrier when you're like a developer in Ethiopia is like access to tools. A couple years ago, it was almost impossible or very difficult to get access to certain tools. So people would either build them from the ground up or ask a cousin abroad to pay for these tools. Like, how does that ecosystem look now? How is it changing with, you know?
I think that problem is still a bit real. You cannot access certain AI models from Ethiopia. You have to like run them locally or something, or you have to use open source models and stuff, or you have to, as you said, ask for a foreign family member and stuff. There are other ways you can get access, but I think straightforward ways are it's still closed off for various reasons that are beyond my understanding right now. But that becomes a real problem, a real barrier to entry for some people. Like if you want to take certain certification exams, even beyond certifications, if you want to pay for some resources that you might need as a developer, those are still becoming still a bit of a problem. There are companies that are working on initiatives that are working on this and bridging that barrier, and then they've really seen a good feedback from that, where they've seen developers, when they do get access for it, they're very passionate. They're very hardworking on these things, especially since they want to break out from this market into the market. If someone can fix that gap, that would be a huge thing, not just for developers but the country as a whole. But also, I can understand that it's a multifaceted problem, and then there are a lot of different geopolitical things going through this decision as well.
For sure. Maybe tell me a bit more about like how you got your start as a developer, and you know what that path was for you from when you were first passionate about tech to where you are now.
I got my first computer, it was a Windows XP, and I was clearly pushing the limits of the storage and RAM and etc. When I couldn't get better hardware, I had to get better software, and that started my interest into you can use these things way more than just games. Because as a kid, that was my thing. I was going for games, but then that got me into programming, and then I realized I could make whatever idea that I had real and solve a lot of the problems that I could face. So I looked into getting Linux. I looked into writing my own flavor of Linux at some point. And that snowballed into having a huge interest into just making my own tools, learning how things work, breaking up stuff as much as I can to really discover how they work underneath.
Nice, bro. I know they're about to start, but really quickly, if you want to plug your social so that people can find you, any closing thoughts?
Really glad that I'm here. I'm glad about the whole community that we're building here. My socials are Israel on most places, EAZASH on others. And glad to have this chat with you.
Awesome. Appreciate you, man. And